Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the guns in Apex Legends. For anyone who hasn't seen my tier list before, D is for poor, C for average, B for good, A for great, and S for meta. This video is sponsored by no one, so like and sub. Before we get into this one, comment your favorite gun down below. Let's get into it. Coming in at D tier, we got the P2020 and Bogan. To be honest, these guns can be kind of good in arena for like the first 1 or 2 rounds, but compared to an R9 or most other guns, they just really can't match it. I think they would be a lot higher in the list if there was the hammer point rounds back in the game, because those things were insanely OP. Moving on to C tier, we got the longbow. In my opinion, the longbow is like a weaker sentinel. However, the fire rate is faster and it's got more bullets in a mag. You don't really need that in a sniper, and also the bullet drop is a lot more and the damage is a lot less. I find it a lot easier to hit shots with the sentinel because of its minimal bullet drop, and also just the general feel of the gun feels a lot better. This gun definitely can be good, but just not quite as good as the other guns on the tier list. Next up in C tier, we got the 3030. The 3030 is a really interesting gun and it's definitely grown on me. I think with the introduction of shatter caps, it is slightly more viable, especially for those close range fights. For instance, if you have an R301, you get someone weak, you're able to just switch to that 3030 and quickly hit them. Although sometimes the 3030 can feel a bit weird to hit shots just because the fire rate is kind of funky. So I do think the G7 and other marksmen like the G7 are a bit better, but 3030 is definitely a very viable gun and I suggest using it. Last gun in the C tier, we got the RE45. The RE45 can be an absolute beamer just because of its easy recoil pattern as well as its high fire rate. Just as you saw just then, I could kill that guy in literally a matter of a second. Even though the RE45 can be an absolute beamer, it does have a really small mag, which I think is kind of good. To be honest, if you had a pistol with a bigger mag than that, it would be really OP, especially with the fire rate it has and the damage it does. So I think that kind of keeps it as a pretty balanced gun, but it can be very good, it just doesn't quite match up to the R301, Volt, and R9. Moving on to B tier now, we got the Hemlock. For me, the Hemlock is one of those guns where you either hit every bullet or miss every bullet. That's probably just because I'm bad, so it's not one of the guns that I generally like picking up, but I know when you do hit your shots with it, it is an absolute beamer. You can hit people with about like 4 bursts and they're dead. And the single fire mode does allow you to be able to use it at longer ranges as well. Coming in next is the charge rifle. The charge rifle is a damage farming machine. I know I've gotten quite a few 2Ks by literally just using the charge rifle. However, it does need a lot of bullets because it will eat through bullets so fast. And to be able to use this gun well, you really have to play a lot more at range, which can be a bit tricky if you are with random teammates or teammates that don't have range guns. So that is kind of why it's not quite up there. It is a very good gun, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I think there's just other guns that are a little bit better for all ranges. Coming in next is my favorite sniper, the Sentinel. I don't know what it is about the Sentinel, but it just feels really, really good. And I feel like I hit the most shots with that thing. I almost don't miss a shot. It's just one of the easiest guns for me to use. And also the Sentinel is a trick shot beast. Moving on to the next gun, we got the bow check. The bow does have a bit of a weird feel to it, but once you get used to it, this thing is insane. You can deal some big damage hits on people. I think it's one of the most underrated guns in the game because it is a damage farming beast. Generally when I use this, I'll try to use it to get a knock on a squad before I push in. Then when you do go push the fight, it will be a lot easier and you can just wrap the fight up. Coming in at top of B is Havoc. The Havoc can absolutely shred, although it does need to charge up a bit, which can make it a little bit tricky sometimes. And also the recoil makes it really hard to use it at a range that is any longer than medium. So I do think if you're using the Havoc, you're going to want to run a longer range gun as well as it, unless your recoil control is insane, and use the Havoc as a sniper. Moving on to A tier, we got the Rampage. To be honest, I was super scared when I heard that they were adding another LMG to the game. I have nightmares about the Spitfire. But to be honest, I think they've done a pretty good job with this gun. It absolutely sucks at close range, but at a medium to long range, this thing is a shredder. I think it was a really good idea slowing down the firing rate, but having the gun pack a bit more of a punch. I also really like the charge up. I think it's a little bit more useful than the Sentinel one. The Sentinel one just gives you a little bit of extra damage. With the Rampage, you can just quickly charge it up before you go into a fight, and then once you're in there, you will be absolutely frying them up in a pan. And it also breaks down doors, which I think is pretty cool. Moving on, we got the Mastiff. Even though the Mastiff has seen quite a few nerfs in a time, I think it is one of the only guns that can be used really well with no attachments because its fire rate is still pretty fast, even without a shotgun bolt. I love running like an R9 Mastiff beam them with the R9, and then just switch to the Mastiff and quickly finish them off. Moving on, we got the Devo. The Devo is an absolute shredder. I remember when it was back in the care package, it was definitely the most OP gun in the game. The hipfire on this gun is absolutely insane, and if you can control the recoil, you can use this thing at pretty decent ranges as well, but it is definitely a whole lot better with attachments. Moving on, we got the G7. I remember way back in season 4, in my first season, I was using the G7 and I got my first 2k with it. This thing is one of the best guns when it comes to farming damage, because as long as you can track someone well and you have a bit of a trigger finger, this thing is pretty easy to use. And in terms of attachments, all you really need for it is a slightly zoom scope, maybe like a 2 or 3 times. Moving on, we got the PK. The PK is one of those guns where I'll either hit some insane shots or I'll just choke up really hard. In a pro player's hands, this gun looks absolutely OP because they can hit some insane flick shots, but in my opinion, not everyone is a pro player and not everyone can hit insane shots like that. Although there are some pretty good combos you can use with it, like R9 PK, pretty much any SMG in a PK, as well as Wingman PK. That is one of my favorite all-time combos. It just makes you feel like a true sweat, but the PK can feel really rewarding when you do hit those 100 damage shots. I legit get so excited when I one-tap someone with the PK, I pretty much clip it every single time. Moving on, we probably got the sweatiest gun in the game, and that is the Wingman. Yet again, I think the Wingman is one of those guns that in a pro player's hands is absolutely insane, but in an average player's hands is a pretty good gun. I think Wingman is one of the most balanced guns in the game. It definitely takes some good aim to be able to use it well. I think even if you hit all headshots with the gun, it isn't OP, it is just taking a lot of skill, and I definitely don't think it needs a nerf. This season, I was really excited to see that new hop-up for the gun, the boosted loader. I think it is a pretty cool idea. I don't know at times how effective it is, but I guess you're probably able to get 2 kills instead of 1 without reloading, so that is pretty nice. And as I've gotten better at the game, the Wingman has definitely grown on me. Moving on to the S tier or all the meta guns, we got the EVA 8. The EVA 8 is absolutely insane, definitely the best shotgun. Literally in all the previous ALGS, everyone has been running an EVA. It just shows how OP this gun is. And if you can find a purple shotgun bolt for this thing, literally nothing is going to stop you. Although sometimes I do find myself getting someone one with the EVA, and then for the life of me, I can't hit them one more time and I end up dying. I know quite a few other people have the same problem with the EVA, but I honestly just think it's because I'm god awful. Moving on, we got the R99. This gun has always been meta just because of the fact that you can literally kill someone insanely quick with this. This gun is a one-clip beast, definitely one of the best guns at close range. And for any Octane mains out there, this gun's probably one of your favorite guns just because you can stim strafe with this and absolutely be beaming, but at the same time, you're really fast because it is an SMG. Moving on, we got the Volt. The DPS on the Volt is absolutely outrageous. The iron sights are also amazing, and the hipfire shreds as well. Moving on now, we got the Prowler. The Prowler is outrageous because you can shred people so fast with it. It did get a tiny damage nerf to it, but I'm pretty sure you can still 3-burst people, which is insanely OP. And if you can hit all your shots with this gun, it has the highest DPS in the whole entire game. Not to mention, but the hipfire is also insane. It is definitely needing a nerf. I think other than that, the gun is very good and reasonably balanced now, but the hipfire is pretty insane, so I think they need to do something about that. Coming in next, we got the literal laser, the L-Star. Before the season, the L-Star wasn't really used at all. It just, to be honest, wasn't really that good. It was good at early game, but it just shredded through bullets too fast, and it couldn't really take any attachments, so it just felt like there was not much of a use for it. But now that you can get a barrel stave for that recoil, it is a beamer, and the hipfire on this gun is also disgusting. You can also get extended mags on this thing now, which makes it insanely OP. You can almost not stop firing. It is just disgusting. And one thing that I do really like with all these buffs and changes to the L-Star is it is a lot more viable at longer ranges. Pretty much medium to close range, this thing is the gun to use. Moving on, we got one of my favorite guns in the game, probably my favorite gun, the Flatline. The Flatline's DPS is mental, as well as its hipfire. It is kind of disgusting, not gonna lie. The fire rate is slightly slower than some of the other ARs, but it has a really high damage, and even with the base gun with 20 bullets, you can pretty comfortably one-clip someone with that as well. But if you slap an extended mag on this thing, it is straight up gross. I have so many clips where I've killed 2 people in one clip. Although the recoil on the flatline is a bit harder to control, once you get used to it, you can start to use this gun at a bit of a medium range rather than just close range. But even just using it at close range, it is definitely worth picking up, especially if you can get like an R301 or something else to go with it. You guys have probably already guessed this, but up next as the best gun in Apex, we got the R301. To be honest, I feel like I don't have to explain myself with this decision too much. This thing is just disgusting, it is insane, but at the same time, it is probably one of the most balanced guns in the game. It is my favorite gun, either this or the flatline. To be honest, I can't choose. It kind of goes day to day. I guess it just depends how many one clips I get with it. One of my favorite things about this gun is it's literally good at all ranges. But remember to comment down below your favorite gun in the game. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And if you guys enjoyed that video, make sure to check out these ones.